like Herschel Walker. I think he's a fine person. He's been on this program several times to talk up Donald Trump. I think he's going to be a terrible candidate for the United States Senate. And it looks like there was some optimism among Republicans that Walker had changed his mind and was going to stay in Texas and not run. In fact, he had put together a team, and then he stopped calling those members of the team. I've talked to members of that team who were helping him. They were encouraged, thought he might be able to go the distance, and then he stopped talking to everybody. Then there were the major opposition hits that came out against him. Wonder if that kind of forced him into the race, that he's got to stand up and fight about that stuff now. But he has moved his voter registration to Georgia. Republicans in Georgia have a shot at beating Raphael Warnock. Warnock is a sunny disposition on his TV ads, but he is a far left progressive in the United States Senate. And it's starting to show in the polling data that Georgians realize he's far more liberal than they expected him to be. They didn't believe Loeffler and Perdue when they said he would be that liberal, and sure enough, he is. And it's starting to come back to haunt him, except the Republicans need a good candidate. The Republicans could take back the Senate by winning Arizona and Georgia. And the president of the United States, Donald Trump, is playing favorites in those races with people who may hump his leg better than the others, but aren't necessarily good at drawing out the independent voters who the Republicans need. See, in Georgia and in Arizona, you need more than just Republicans to win. You got to have independents as well. And I don't know a Republican. Now, I know a lot of Republicans who publicly say, yeah, Herschel, go all the way. I don't know a single one who believes it privately. What I'm told privately is they think he becomes the Republican nominee unless a super PAC shows up and spends a lot of money to rough him up and say, hey, don't pull a Roy Moore. Remember Roy Moore? Look, I had endorsed Roy Moore. And Roy Moore turned out to have skeletons in his closet. I had to walk back my endorsement and say, oh, had I known this, no way. And Roy Moore got the nomination and sent Doug Jones to the Senate. And there's a lot of Republican concern in Georgia. We may be looking at Roy Moore 2.0 with Herschel Walker, except it's not a young girl situation. It's a serious mental health issue, which Herschel Walker, to his credit, has been open about. You don't want to ding a guy because he's been open with his mental health struggles, but at the same time, you do have to ask yourself, what will the Democrats do in the general? You know they're going to pull out the stops, and the media is going to help them destroy Herschel Walker. The guy is going to go from the hero of the state of Georgia in football to half the state immediately hating him because he runs as a Trump-loving Republican. Donald Trump lost Georgia. It wasn't stolen. He lost it. And then it's going to go downhill from there. And that's the problem. So unless a super PAC comes forward and dedicates itself to stopping Herschel Walker, he's probably going to be the Republican nominee. Now, I got to tell you, I had Latham Sadler on the show last week. I'm actually intrigued by the guy. And a lot of my affiliates down in South Georgia, WVOP down in Vidalia and several of the others, have had people reach out and say, yeah, he connects one-on-one. He's got to work on connecting in a crowd. He connects one-on-one, but they're very intrigued by having a young guy, a SEAL, who worked in Afghanistan. The time is right for that sort of biography to stand out. But I don't know that he's got the deep pockets with the money to be able to do it. You got Gary Black in Georgia running. Gary Black, for those of you outside of Georgia, he's the the ag commissioner. He's popular with the farmers. Buddy Carter, who's a congressman, has thought about running, but wasn't going to run if Herschel Walker got in. There are a couple other people running as well. I can't remember all the people who are running. I've been intrigued by the Sadler campaign, but Walker probably gets it in Georgia. For those of you who don't know who Herschel Walker is, he's probably one of the greatest college football players of all times. He played for the University of Georgia. He's a legend in Georgia. But he deals with multiple personality disorder. He's been very open about it, to his credit, but got a history of involvement with the police and a lot of opposition research that's going to come out on him. And of course, the Democrats are going to save it up and use it in the general. The Republicans are probably going to need to unload to see if they can either rough him up or have it be, well, it's old news when he gets into the general. But there is not a lot of confidence from Republicans nationally or in Georgia that they will be able to take this seat back from the Democrats if Walker's the nominee. I'm just telling you what I'm hearing. You can disagree with me. That is perfectly fine. I'm just telling you, I don't know a single person outside of the Trump orbit who thinks that they can win the state with Walker, and the Trump orbit's convinced that Trump won Georgia even though he didn't.